Boo! Hi, huge movie fanatic Nate coming at you with a batch of a few, I don't know how many I'm going to do yet because I'm just starting. A couple reviews, but first I'm going to start off the night of reviewing a couple of things, this and that, with I think it's my third something that I started doing this year as people in the movie business or people who have been involved in movies like Betsy Palmer and James Horner have passed on this year in 2015. When Betsy Palmer was the first time I did it, where I just felt, Friday 13, 1980 is such a huge, laugh if you want, made such a huge impact and was such a big part of my life in childhood and growing up in teens and all that, and even still is. That when she died in May, I think it was, I just felt like it's just impossible not to say something. So I made a little a video which was entitled "Thank You, Betsy Palmer," just thanking her just for her contribution to a genre that in a franchise that I just love, And then when James Horner unexpectedly died, weeks later or whatever like that, in presumably a plane crash. I was compelled to do another one, and another one of those thank you videos, thank you James Horner, and just thank you for all the great music he did. I mean, Rocketeer, Star Trek 2 and 3, and just among countless others. And, here we are again. I was going to look before I started this video, but alas, I forgot. I could put the date on the screen. Wes Craven is one of the first of what I would regard as really, the heyday, late 60s, early 70s of, one of the guys who started it all, which would be grouped in there with like Sean Cunningham and John Carpenter. But anyway, what I'm saying long-windedly, or trying to say, is Wes Craven, in my opinion, was really one of the guys who really started the heyday of the 70s and certainly the 80s, and continuing on, of course, the 90s and what I call the zeros. And just having, I think Matt mentioned it in one of our reviews of Screen or something, just a career in movies and horror movies, and not just horror movies, but movies that just spanned decades, from like the 60s until basically, his last film, I believe, was Scream 4. And I just feel compelled, obviously, having grown up with Nightmare on Elm Street and the original Last House on the Left, and, just even to a certain extent, People Under the Stairs, and not really being a huge fan of Shocker, and, even Serpent in the Rainbow I didn't think was that great. But anyway, having grown up with primarily, just like obviously for me, when I hear the name Wes Craven, the first thing I think of is, Knives for Fingers, in November of, 1988, when I'm just an impressionable young kid and getting into Friday or Nightmare on Elm Street, for the very first time seeing Nightmare on Elm Street on a uncensored TV, this channel back in 88 played Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 2 completely, as far as I know, uncensored. All they did is bleep the swear words, and so I was able to see, and of course transfers sucked and just whatever, and it was hard to tell what things were. And I think we mentioned that on the Nightmare on Elm Street review, that I thought her fingers inside the body bag were like guts, entrails coming out of her, and stuff like that. But long story short, as I'm just branching off into a bazillion different directions, thank you, Wes Craven. Thank you for just, and then I was thinking today that, what an impact on Robert Englund's life and career Wes Craven had. Jiminy Christmas, when he went on to, and Johnny Depp, let's not even forget Johnny Depp's first movie, and this one guy, this Wes Craven, had such an impact on, Johnny Depp's career, and certainly, started that or whatever, but a bigger, impact and stuff on Robert Englund's career, and, he just became Freddy. And Wes Craven, along with Tobe Hooper and John Carpenter. Oh, Tobe Hooper's another one that I should have mentioned earlier. Created, Leatherface, and, of course, Wes Craven's contribution, Freddy Krueger, and John Carpenter's Michael Myers and stuff. And in a lot of ways, although there's probably many more to add to the plethora, I would regard like Tobe Hooper and Wes Craven and John Carpenter as kind of the North American trio, really, of these three guys, and I guess like along with Sean Cunningham to a certain extent, but of guys that really started, basically these horror franchises that continue to, go to this day, and, have had their, ups and downs over the decades certainly, but are continuing along on their half-ass tirade now. But regardless of what crap they might be doing now, they made some really, in my case, of course, I was a kid at the time, so, I was a little more forgiving, but at the time, I just feel like, the movies like, obviously, Halloween, and the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and the original Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff were, and obviously Friday the 13th, 1980, which is one of my favorite movies. Wes Craven is the first of the trio of quadro, I don't know, Quaid. Anyway, are we inside? I don't know what the word is for like a quadicle. Maybe a quadicle. It sounds like an icicle, but I mean an popsicle. But what the word is for like the same thing as the trio. For a quado. Anyway, this video is going on way too long. In closing, thank you very much, Wes Craven. You certainly, made an impression on my life getting into certainly Nightmare on Elm Street and other films. That was probably the first Wes Craven movie I saw at the tender young age of whatever I was in 1988. And, certainly going on to see more later on when I was a teenager, seeing like Last House on the Left, which is really just like, the original Last House on the Left. I haven't seen the remake. It's just like, oh my gosh, that's a movie that, really goes few places where a movie should. I mean, that's, in our Last House and reviews and Spit on Your Grave reviews, I kind of clump it into a, it's they're companion pieces, if you're having a double feature at the church theater or something like that, the church run theater, you could have a double bill of I Spit on Your Grave and Last House on the Left for after church service. But thank you very much, Wes Craven. The first to go, and undoubtedly, if I may get a little dark and morbid here, I mean, I can't imagine Sean Cunningham or John Carpenter or Tobe Hooper are going to be very far behind in the passing, leaving this earthly realm, as it were, and but surely, as long as there is a record of it on this planet, their work, as long as up until the whole planet is nuked, their work will be remembered and appreciated as chainsaws grind into flesh and bone, and as butcher knives protrude the ample bosoms of young babysitters, and as angry mothers, Rambo hunting knife slash the throats of nubile young counselors, and as burnt-faced, dead, dream-roaming monster with knives for fingers protrude into the dreams of the children of Elm Street. You can be sure, I don't know where the hell I was going with what I was saying, but you can be sure that until the whole planet is nuked, people all around the world will enjoy the works of Wes Craven. Of course, not even, didn't even mention Scream and, all kinds of stuff like that and whatever. So, once again, thank you very much, Wes Craven. All your efforts were extremely appreciated by this movie fanatic, this huge movie fanatic right here in this video, and obviously countless thousands, scores and thousands of more worldwide. So thank you very much.